Rick, good to see you again.
Hey Keith, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, I think we'll do this one here. It's called The Road to Perfection is Filled with Suffering. Uh, you just start laughing. What inspired this one is one of my colleagues at work has a daughter who is, I want to say eighth grade. Yeah, she's in the eighth grade now. And she just became class president. And she's really driven, honor society already, and things like that. She's a perfectionist. She dots all her I's, crosses every T. Is planning. Her whole life is mapped out and planned. It reminds it reminds she reminds me of you and me. So
Oh dear.
so I'm telling her this, and so her mom said, "Listen, I had to tell her to go to bed because she's tired right now. She's trying to fill out this application for the next honor society, and she wants it to be perfect. So she's pretty irritable right now." And I just thought to I said, "May I share something?" She's like, "Yes." I said, "She's so fortunate to have you as a mom to help her understand that this whole road to perfection is going to be filled with nothing but suffering along the way." And so if she can get that now at this age and just really, really embrace that it's about the journey. It's about there are going to be some mistakes along the way, and like find the light in the mistakes. You know, the out if you're always fixated on outcome, your your enjoyment of that is going to be short lived, and it's going to be nothing but suffering all the other times and striving and things like that. So I just think about when I used to be on that road, that it was a lot of suffering, and I think my awareness is so high now because I've worked on this particular area. I mean, oftentimes at Mayo Clinic I'm asked to give talks to a lot of different groups, and sometimes there are some C-suite people in the audience. Rick, when I say I never get nervous because I work on this and because I have no attachment to how the talk is going to go.
Yeah.
It'd be great if it goes great, but it might not. It might bomb. The IT may not work. My thumb drive file might be corrupted. And I just like and I could have never done that before. It would have been a mess. And I've also taken that to new areas, like on the pickleball court. Okay, I put a bad ball up. My partner just got crushed. My bad, you know. And but most importantly, is not only freeing myself up of this need to be perfect, but not requiring my partner and my friends to be perfect too. I mean, that has been really, really important. And my loved ones. What are your thoughts, Rick, about the road to perfection being filled with suffering?
Well, I want to acknowledge you for working on something that's very difficult. I mean, everything that we're taught about success has to do with trying harder, being better, doing personal bests every 10 minutes, competing either against yourself or others, always trying to win. Well, you're right, that does take a toll. Um, I heard someone once said that sometimes when you're angling toward perfection, what you're really doing, and I think this is true in my case, is that you're trying to create an armor of protection so that if you do a job perfectly, no one can criticize you.
Mm.
If you're completely perfect, who can say anything bad about what you've done? And that reflects then in your ego and your humanity, and you feel more like you're a deserving and good person. And I think there's an element of truth to that. I notice in myself that when I find myself being overly interested in perfection, it's because I'm doing something new. I'm worried that I'm going to be criticized, ostracized, or made fun of if it's not something that is good enough for other people to recognize as valuable. And so I would say the first step would be, why are you looking at perfectionism so strongly? Why is it running you? Why is that so important for you? Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be the best. I'm not criticizing that. I just want to make sure that when I'm involved in this pursuit of perfection, I know the reason.
Right.
And sometimes sometimes it's pure and it's to serve another person and to give my best and to do that. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's I want to make this food perfect so that everyone goes back and says what a great cook I am, and then I feel like I have value as a human being.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's how partly how it works. One other point on perfectionism, like what is what you were saying, the suffering part of that is automatic. It's automatic because there is no perfect. So what you're saying is, okay, I'm going to have this pie, and 2/3 of the pie is going to be rancid and horrible, but the other part of the pie that isn't is going to boost my ego if I pull it off.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, if you look at it in that kind of a mundane and far-fetched example, the idea is that you're giving something up with the perfectionism, that it can get in the way of your present moments of joy and life and feeling content and peaceful inside. Sometimes perfectionism is the opposite. The pursuit of perfectionism is the opposite of developing inner peace. And it's also one of those things, in my case, where I'm trying to make the world conform to my expectation. I want to be perfect, but then I expect in return that I get the return that I'm planning for by being perfect. And that's, you're cruising for a bruising. That's not going to work that way. Usually the universe or whatever, the circumstances of your life are going to be random, and they're going to hit you in all different ways. And the flash drive is going to be corrupted. And whether you want to suffer about that or not is up to you. And if you have a mindset of perfectionism, you are guaranteed to have suffering.
Absolutely, Rick. I totally agree with you. And it's the cost of that infrequent chance in which it is perfect, or you think it is, have you defined it being perfect. The cost of that is just, to me, it became not worth it anymore. And once I became aware of it, and like you said, the reasons for it. And I think this, when you're a person who's striving for perfection, it is a barrier to you being able to be vulnerable. When things don't go right, you will hide. You don't want anyone to know. Sometimes it's passing blame off to other people. You struggle. You close yourself off from other people, any kind of support they can give, because you don't share it. And then sometimes that feeds this narrative that I'm in this all on my own. Well, you're in it on your own because you created that. like no one did that to you. You've done that.
That's right.
And then you get to be superior to other
That's right.
people, especially your spouse and your coworkers, because you can do it better. You're the perfect one. If they'd only do it as you said, if you'd only do it the way that I think you should do it, or be the way that I think you should be, we'd be okay.
That's right.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
You'd find something else.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find
It's
something
not
else.
blue enough.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Rick, thank you for a great show. I love you.
I love talking to you, Keith. It's just so much fun to hear how many common problems we have as human beings. And, we're all in the same bucket. There's not a whit's bit of difference between any of us. We all have the same crap that we have to deal with.
Same. So why not work on being free of it?
And talk about it, admit it and just get on with it.
Absolutely. I love you, Rick.
I love you, Keith. Adios.
Adios.